Hey y'all, welcome back to Kinship Connections. If this is your first time watching, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching. We are going to jump right into our Family Meetup Part 3, which we will go over our family history a little bit. I'll try to keep it brief and share as much information as I can in a short time. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, guys, so what do you hope to learn today in this family meetup?
I guess I would say what I want to learn from the family meetup is just I want to know more of my family, because I feel like it's a good thing to have a good community of people around you. Like, yeah, we us in the DMV, like we're tight knit, but I feel like it's always better to have more.
I want to know who else we some kin to. I just want to meet everybody.
Okay.
Hi. I just want to meet everybody, and I'm a Benton.
Okay. Tried and true, baby.
Listen, to my heart. You know the deal. Hey, girl. Okay.
Let's see what I want to get. I just want to know my family, extended family. I think it's really important that we get back to family,
right?
Because I feel like as generations gone, we have just kind of like just gone wild. We rogue. We just have lost it. We just don't have no sense of family and what that means. Especially when you look at other cultures and how they work together, and it seems like we just can't. We still struggle to get it together.
True.
So, I just want to get a sense of my family and understand my legacy and be proud of that. Mm-hmm. And so my kids they can be proud of it, because a lot of kids they can stand and they proud of their heritage, and our kids need to have something that they can feel good about, where they come from, and understand that it's knowledge.
I'm on here because I want all of the kids to know each other. A lot of our kids don't know each other.
That's so true.
They don't know each other. They haven't grown up with each other. They don't know each other's names or anything like that. They just see each other probably on Facebook or whatever, but they've never interacted with each other. And that's what I want. So.
Constantly working on keeping the history alive. And if any of you know, when you have a good history, well, if you have any history, you want to keep it alive. You want to pass it on to generations. I've met family from Texas. I've met family from the East Coast. I've met family from California. Across the country, I've connected with some family. So we have a very large family. You guys are also included in that family because you are a bloodline Freeman. Believe it or not. You come through Martha. So yeah, that's who I am.
All right.
Know more about where we're from and where we actually come from and
right.
our ancestors come from. Miss Tanya Van Ellis is the geek for this, so she can recite everything from the top of her head, and I can't.
Girl, be quiet.
Like granddaddy of such and such, and his daddy back in I'd be like, nope.
Okay, so here we go. So most of the people here are descendants of Frank Benton II's branch of the family. So what I'll share today is a little bit about Frank Benton, the first Frank Benton, and I'll share information about Martha Freeman Benton, and I'll share information about our great-grandfather, Frank Benton II. So we're going to get started with Frank. Frank Benton I, we're going to call him Frank Benton I because there are several Franks throughout each generation. Frank Benton I was born December 24th, 1819, between 1819 and 1822 in Macon, Georgia, Jones County. Frank's father was born in North Carolina or South Carolina, and his mom was born in Tennessee. And this is according to the U.S. Census records. On, I want to say the 1880 census, it says that Frank's father was born in North Carolina. And on the 1900 census, it says he was born in South Carolina. We're still trying to do research to find the names and to confirm the names of the mom and the dad. So we're still doing research for that. Frank's occupation on all three censuses was listed as a farmer, and he passed in May of 1901 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Martha Freeman is where our Freeman connection comes in. Martha Freeman was born in 1837 in Marietta, Georgia, in Cobb County. Her father was Meade Freeman, and her mom was Elizabeth Freeman. Martha's occupation that was listed on the U.S. Census was keeping the house or housekeeper. So usually back in those times, women generally, they did the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of the children, and managing the household. So that's what Martha's listed as. In terms of her death, we believe she passed before 1900. On the 1900 census, Frank was listed as a widower. So Martha passed before 1900 in Rome, Georgia. So Frank and Martha lived in the Texas Valley area of Rome, Georgia. They owned an 80-acre farm. We believe that Frank and Martha jumped the broom sometime in the 1850s through a traditional enslavement marriage. Back in those days, African Americans were not allowed to legally get married, and Frank and Martha did not legally get married until 1876, but they began having children in 1851 all the way to 1873. This is a copy of the marriage license for Frank and Martha. As you can see, they are listed in Floyd County in 1876. By 1876, they had already had all 12 children. I believe their last child was born in 1873. So in the state of Georgia, you could not get married prior to this. So this is when their marriage was recognized in the state of Georgia, because Martha was formerly enslaved. We're not 100% sure about Frank, but we're still doing research to find that out.
Okay, so this is just a copy of the 1870 census record that we had for them. So I don't know if most of you know, but 1870 was the first time that African Americans showed up by name on the U.S. Census records. So this is the first time that they are listed by names. Other times they were listed if they were enslaved by the 1850s. They had a slave census in the 1850s and the 1860s, but they were not listed by name there. They were just listed as a male or female and their age. So this is the first time that we showed up with our name. So here's Frank and his family. Frank was 50 at the time, male black, farmer. Martha was 33, female black, keeping the home. Mac is 19, male mulatto, working on the farm. Meade was listed as 18, male mulatto, working on the farm. And this is Anthony. They spelled Albee, but a lot of times they misspelled the names incorrectly. He was 15, male black, working on the farm. Mahalia was, I want to say 11, female black, working on the farm. William was 9, male black, and he was at home. Lavinia, 11, female black, working on the farm. Sanford, 8, male black, at home. Mary, 7, female black, at home. Frank, 4, male black, at home. Martha, 3, female black, at home. So just some things to point out here. Most of the time the women, the wives, were keeping the home. If you look at Mac, Meade, Anthony, Mahalia, and Lavinia, they were all over 10 years old. Once you were 10 years old, you were out on the farm working. Even during enslavement at the time, those kids were out working on the farm out on the plantation at 10 years old. It shows William was 9, he was at home, so he was probably in training, getting ready to be out working on the farm. And then you have Sanford at 8 years old at home and marry as well. Frank was the first child. So the 1870 census is the first census that we showed up. But if you notice, Frank was 4 years old. Everyone who was born, who was 5 and above, were born during enslavement. So Frank was the first child that I showed you guys on the previous slide. He was listed at 4, so he was the first one that was not enslaved. The other children were all born enslaved. So Frank Benton was an entrepreneur, a farmer, and a landlord. Alongside our great-grandmother Martha, they were resilient people, y'all. They really understood the importance of land ownership, especially as people who were born into slavery. Frank used that land, and they acquired that land, and he used it to generate revenue. They sold the crops that they harvested. They leased parts of the land to tenant farmers. He lived on that estate, and over time his children, they built homes there, and that even strengthened the foundation even stronger because it added value and added additional value to the property. The document that I have right here, this is from the probate record from the Floyd County Courthouse. This records the transfer of the land after Frank passed to his children. So they inherited his estate, with me being appointed as the principal administrator of the estate, and his other children, Mary, Lavinia, William, they were also listed on here. So if you look closely at the signatures, you'll see that Meade was able to read and write, as he was the minister, so he was able to, read and write. But his siblings, they were not. They had laws that prevented enslaved people from being taught literacy. So this is why they signed with an X as their mark. Over the years, the estate was managed by several generations, remaining in the family for 152 years. So the land was passed down for generations. In 1991, Frank's granddaughter, Lula Benton Adams, she became the administrator of the estate and transferred the estate to her sons, John and George Adams. They later took the land and they subdivided into 33 parcels, and they auctioned it off, and the proceeds went to their branch of the family. So they were part of Anthony Benton's branch of the family. So what started as a $300 investment became a source of generational wealth, and it ensured financial security for his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. So I find that to be really amazing. So here's our great-grandfather, Frankie Benton II. Frankie was born in 1865 in Rome, Georgia. He later moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he worked in the coal mines. He fixed the vehicles in the coal mines based on the census records. Frank had 5 children with Sarah Hunter before marrying Susie Martin, and he had 6 more children with her. So Frank lived in Orme, Tennessee, and he lived there until about 1930, and then he moved with his son Clarence to Chattanooga, and he lived there up until his death in 1940. So this is the obituary from the newspaper in 1940 for Frank when he passed. So it says Frank Benton of 28 Sawyer Street died at his home Sunday evening. Survivor's widow, Mrs. Susie Martin Benton, 1 daughter, Mrs. Alberta Brown, 4 sons, Ralph Benton of Valls Creek, West Virginia, Frank Benton Jr. of Gary, West Virginia, Gerald Benton of Louisville, Kentucky, and Clarence L. Benton of Chattanooga. 2 brothers, Sanford and Sabron Benton of Conway, Arkansas. It's also listed that he had 22 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And I will say that in 1940, 5 of his children preceded him in death, with Mrs. Sarah.
This is the obituary for Susie Martin Benton, Frank's wife. Grandma Susie moved to Gary, West Virginia with her son Frank III. Grandma Susie passed in 1951. So in 1951, it reads, Mrs. Susie Martin Benton, a pioneer citizen of Sequatchie Valley in Marion County, died Friday at 1:45 p.m. at the home of her son, Mr. Frank Benton III in Gary, West Virginia. Born in Scottsboro, Alabama, she came to Chattanooga in her girlhood and resided with her brother, the late Will Martin. She attended the West Main Street School in 1888. She went to Sequatchie Valley on October 30th, 1891. To that union was born 10 children, 5 of whom survive her. They are one daughter, Miss Alberta Sorrell, Chattanooga, 4 sons, Mr. Ralph Benton, Balls Creek, West Virginia, Mr. Frank Benton, Gary, West Virginia, Mr. Clarence Benton, Tuskegee, Alabama, Mr. Gerald Benton of Louisville, Kentucky. At that time, they had 26 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-grandson and 3 nieces, Mrs. Franklin Hill, Chattanooga, Mrs. Willie Stokes of Los Angeles, Mrs. Pearl Mosley, Bridgeport, Alabama, other relatives, and a host of friends. It says Susie was a member of Walker Street Church of God and was very active in civic and religious work. So it lists all of the children here on her obituary, which I find interesting because Frank's only listed 5 children, but her obituary listed not only Frank's children, but also Miss Sarah's children, which would have been her stepchildren, and all of the great-grandchildren and the grandchildren are listed here. So this is where I really started to do the calculations. So all of the people that you guys have seen me add to our group are listed in this. Well, not all of them, but their descendants are the people that I added to the group. And the Grandma Susie had them listed here in her obituary. So I just find that interesting, and I'm just happy to be connected with them. So I'm looking forward to meeting them in person at the family reunion. I've talked to a few of them, and we really connected on Ancestry.com through DNA matches. So
I need to see it on paper. That was a lot of
I
information.
know. That's what I
know.
That was a lot.
It is.
Y'all can put that on paper for
Hey,
all of
T,
us.
share Freeman Town's Facebook page on your link, on your page, so that they can join and stay up to date on some of the things.
All right, y'all. I would like for us. So I wanna do this in like little bite-sized pieces. So we can have, I'm going to be sharing some information on, I created a Kinship Connections YouTube channel where I'll be sharing information, and I'll be digging deep into who's who and how we're connected. Also with the new people that I just connected with, trying to do interviews with them so they can share information about their family. I want us to learn, I want us to have a good time, and I want us to connect and to really leave and leave with knowing that we have a rich history. But not only knowing that, I want us to keep that history alive for generations to come, because the way I'm digging, I don't want nobody else to have to dig. I don't want nobody else to have to look for this information. I want to put it in a book, so when I leave here, my kids, my grandkids, and everybody got it.
I hope you guys enjoyed the learning about the history of the family. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I am working on my book. That book will be out in the middle of 2025, before the family reunion. Make sure you log on to our website, www.kinshipconnections.org. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day.